Don't you hear good?
I hear perfectly. The fact that you are a sheriff is not germane to the situation.
The goddamn Germans got nothing to do with it. What do you say? Shut up one shit at a time. All right.
You're listening to the Conservative Underground. I'm Doc White. Please tell a friend to tell a friend that we're on and in the air again. You can send me an email at conservativeunderground1776@gmail.com. We'll be right back.
My life was going downhill fast. Everybody was on my case. Now, I kept hoping that life would change real soon. I knew drinking too much messed up my life. A friend suggested I check out AA. It worked. I found myself in an AA group. Finally, I've got my act together. Alcoholics Anonymous. It works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or AA.org.
Gosh, Darlene, it sure is amazing how much we have in common.
I know, Larry. We both love three-car pile-ups. We both were built in Buffalo.
And we both know wearing safety belts helps save thousands of lives.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
Don't mind Vince. He's getting over a bad breakup.
I know. Janet's picking up the pieces, too. They're in here.
I wish they understood it's all worth it to get people to buckle up.
Hey, lacerated lovebirds, I sense a major crush.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Talk about head over heels.
Unfortunately, there is one thing that stands between me and that property. The rightful owners.
80.
30.
50. Every mile brings us closer.
25.
Every mile in a city near you.
75.
Help us stop diabetes.
100.
Join the Tour de Cure.
60.
Register to ride.
36.
Or sponsor a rider.
50.
Call 1-888-DIABETES or visit us online at diabetes.org/tour. How many miles will you ride?
25.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Doc White. You're listening to the Conservative Underground. Thanks for being with me here. Just like to say that we do a show most nights, Sunday through Thursday, over on Blog Talk Radio, and the ability to call in and interact with me exists over on that format. And then we have a website, conservativeunderground1776.blogspot.com, where you can access the show for free while supplies last as we put the podcasts up, and also various other posts related to the show and to politics and maybe even some sports and other things like that, things that I find interesting. And also Facebook fan page, The Conservative Underground Show. We're up over 100 likes now, and please tell a friend to tell a friend. Before we continue on here, there is a sad note, and I was just handed this by my Chief of Staff here, Brett Myers. I wanted to do this on previous broadcast here, but we're going to take a moment here to remember and pay tribute to a fellow conservative activist, a blogger, a podcaster in the conservative movement was lost shortly before Christmas. Those of you over the I think it was within the last month, just before Christmas, the grassroots conservative community lost a true patriot. For 5 years, Tim Kurlan, better known as Loki, hosted several shows on Blog Talk Radio and on Red State Talk Radio and the Halls of Valhalla Radio network. Loki was also an active grassroots organizer in his local community. I think even being elected to the one of the local county party's executive committee for the Republican Party recently. Whatever the forum, you could count on Loki to be a voice in the crowd, always asking, whatever the issue, what's the Constitution say? Loki had a firm grasp on the Constitution. He was a student of history, and he knew his stuff. His respect for our founding fathers, their documents, and our principles ran deep, and he understood those values. Those were Loki's special interests: individual liberty and personal freedom. whatever else or whatever issue, agree or disagree, you knew where he stood and where he took his marching orders. Loki was a student of history, a teacher of constitutional principles, a defender of our republic, and protector of its freedoms. To me, he was a friend. He was gracious with his time, always allowing me to speak my mind on his show. He wasn't afraid to engage in debate. He was a formidable debater and someone you hoped was on your side on a particular issue. And if not, you better be ready for a lively conversation. Loki, though, was a gentleman in all forms. This is a testament to his character. Loki was also a veteran, which is a testament to his heart. I enjoyed our conversations, especially on Ohio State and Michigan football, but we did lose a true patriot. We also lost a friend. I thank his wife, Karen, for sharing him with us these many years. May his memory live on in our hearts. May his passion for our republic never die in each of us. And let that be his lasting gift. Loki, until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hands. Good friend Tim Curlin, Loki, Halls of Valhalla. And I still think that they are continuing the show on in some form or another over on Blog Talk Radio. Okay, it's ironic that I'm going to be talking about this next subject here because it was one in which Loki and I often butted heads over. But I have noticed a uptick on social media and Facebook over the topic of nullification, Article 5 conventions. Now, I'm not going to light the world on fire here with what I'm about to say, but I'm just wanting to share some thoughts with you as it is my perspective on the way our Constitution works, the way our republic is to work, and the way we as people can again begin to take control of our government, a government that works for us, not the other way around. So many people are and continue to advocate the belief that states, now you've heard this term before, nullification, that states somehow have the constitutional authority, the constitutional right, or whatever, to nullify federal laws that are deemed unconstitutional. Now, one of the big poster childs for all of this is Obamacare. And many in our movement are demanding that states just ignore the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and don't participate in it because they can it's unconstitutional. And within this crowd, there's also the belief that courts are not the final arbiters on what's constitutional and not unconstitutional. Now, there's a whole host of issues that devolve from there, but that's the crux of it. It is the belief of many that nullification is a power that states have on the federal government because the states created the federal government. And the federal government cannot do things that are unconstitutional. You know, folks, the thought there, the passion there, I certainly empathize with, and I do believe that the Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional. But however, we have it, and the federal government passed it, and we have to deal with it. And I do not believe that states have this sort of authority within our constitutional framework. If all of a sudden, and we fought a civil war over this, there has been debate from the beginning of our republic to today over nullification and whether or not states have that ability. And in each instance, it's been decided whether through a civil war in part or through court cases, that sort of constitutional check by the states on the federal government in the specific instance simply does not exist. And if you take it a bit further, this idea of nullification, where we are all constitutional defenders around here, we are acting as if, well, states wouldn't declare unconstitutional laws nullified. They would only do it for unconstitutional laws or unconstitutional measures from the federal government. Well, that's nice in theory. But who's to say that would always be the case? And additionally, ladies and gentlemen, I would submit to you that the union, our grand union, which that is the prize amongst all that we have to preserve, would not only be fundamentally altered and changed, that this idea of nullification would be the end of the union as we know it, and if not in total. The debt, the other issues, amnesty, high taxes, all of these other things that are crumbling away at our foundations as a republic, certainly are issues we need to address. But this idea of nullification, a group of states just choosing what they want to follow, I think runs contrary to this republic and our sense of federalism that we have developed. Now, this group of folks out there will also then reject what I classify as the nullification alternative. There is a growing movement and sense in the country that perhaps an Article 5 convention on particular issues may, in fact, need to be called because of the federal government being out of control. Now, if you read the Constitution of the United States, and I do happen to have one handy here, Article 5, there are two ways to amend the Constitution of the United States. One way is for both houses of Congress to pass a resolution, amending the Constitution of the United States by 2/3 majority in each house. And then that proposal is submitted to the states, where 3/4 of the states shall, it's like 36 is required now, to then pass that amendment proposal for it to be an official constitutional amendment. Now, there's another way to amend the Constitution, and that's Article 5. And that states that Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first. So there's some technical stuff there, but the critical part here is the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states shall call a convention for proposing amendments. One of the big issues that got the Tea Party going, the main one being the bailout of all these businesses through stimulus and auto bailouts and other things, but that's specific. Generally, though, has been the out-of-control spending by the Congress of the United States, the federal government. We're to the tune of $17 trillion in debt. Obama himself has contributed to $10 trillion of the $17 trillion in debt. And there's a lot of people out there that are frustrated. There's a lot of people out there, part of the Tea Party specifically, that want to reverse this trend and get us back on solid financial footing. Well, we've had the Congress, screw around and try to pass a constitutional amendment for a balanced budget, requiring